Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion perspective. Jesus. Now, I had gotten this on Xbox, but I played it and finished it on PC. Though, I did run into some issues where I needed kind of more, incidentally enough, precise control on certain things, when I was just trying to collect, this treasure waterfall minigame, so I switched to the controller to pretty much do that. But other than that, I did keyboard and mouse for it, and this is a weird fucking thing. Never mind by the title. I like the voice acting and stuff that they'd gotten for the characters. This is a prequel to Final Fantasy VII, exploring more of Sephiroth, Zack, Aerith, and these other soldier members, Angeal and Genesis, and the story's kind of weird. I mean, gameplay-wise, I like the action kind of things going on. The materia system was kind of alright. I kind of like the materia system more in Final Fantasy VII. And it's really kind of weird how leveling works. Like, you have to do this DMW kind of slot machine kind of thing and hope that you kind of level up. Otherwise, you have to try and level up and put more stuff into your materia to get your shit up, as well as your gear. It leads to some weird awkwardness. It gets more to my whole kind of thing of how do you level up and have a leveling system. Gear-based leveling really fucks you over because it locks you into certain kind of stuff that sometimes fucks over your build. I didn't have as much kind of issue with that here. Because after a certain kind of bit, if you grind out, you have like 4 gear slots that you can then pretty much get most kind of stuff to amp up whatever kind of stats you want, while also getting like prevents, curse, silence, so on and so forth. And then picking what kind of materia you want. I rarely switched out materia except to get like some super uber kind of stuff or to make sure that I had certain kind of weaknesses covered. But overall, the action-y aspect worked pretty well. Even with mouse and keyboard, I was able to kind of get around and crack a lot of ass as Zack. I really like Zack's character. He's more of a kind of puppy. He's very earnest and tries to do the right thing. And seeing him kind of progress through the game was enjoyable. It showcases more that Tifa is more kind of with Cloud, and Aerith is more kind of with Zack. So that's at least what the interpretation that kind of brings up with this. Now, I can understand purists being like, this is kind of stupid and kind of fucking up the whole entire kind of story of Final Fantasy VII. And I would not argue with that. The thing is, the gameplay is fun, though it gets grindy and very repetitive because this goes into the mobile kind of aspect. Playing through the main story is fine enough. Once you get into kind of the side missions, it's pretty much you just copy-paste kind of areas, kind of go around, open up chests, and then fight the kind of boss at the end. I didn't even finish those because I only went tactically with certain kind of things to get certain things that I was looking at with a walkthrough. So that way I had what I could just like crack ass and get through it on certain kind of things. And make sure that I don't have to miss something to kind of do that. That's kind of my style with games. It depends upon what's going on because I usually want to try and get like the best kind of thing forward and to make sure a game doesn't fuck me over, and if I learn of any kind of bugs or anything that could really fuck up what my playthrough's going for. That's how I operate on things. If you don't like that, that's cool. And you'll have to, if you watch my review and like kind of try and get my understanding of it, that's how it's going to kind of affect it. Because that's just how I do certain kind of games, because some of them are just so long, it's like, is this even worth it? If the reward is like, fuck shit, like just nothing. But the thing is, it depends upon what that nothing is. If it doesn't really give me anything, I'm probably going to ignore it. If it does a thing of like character depth or development, I'll go for it. Yuffie gets fucking... Somehow she was more annoying to me in this one because she just kept kind of fucking over with Zack and trying to like steal his treasure and shit and fuck him over with Shinra. The best kind of aspect is trying to explore Shinra in more depth, understanding the whole soldier system, what they kind of do to soldiers and how they kind of treat them. The execution, of course, is not really that well done. Genesis is pretty much the main villain until we get Sephiroth pretty much turned into it to lead us into Final Fantasy VII. And he just keeps quoting the same fucking shit. And it's... You ever see somebody who's, like, gotten only a couple into, like, Shakespeare and biblical shit, and essentially is just writing an essay that's, like, technically 50 pages long that says the same shit over and over again? That's this character. It's like, oh my god, there's not much to it, and they could have gotten to it, like, faster because he's, like, degrading. He's kind of fighting against it. It kind of gives me, Kuja vibes from Final Fantasy IX. And he's just like, I kind of want to live, but if I can't live, I'm going to destroy the world kind of shit. It's like, okay, we've been here, done that, executed vastly better in Final Fantasy IX. What are you adding here? And then the whole rumination on, like, if they're monsters or not, it's fine, but they just say it and don't really explore it. If that makes any sense. Where they just keep talking about it, but they don't really show or tell what's kind of going on. It's like, oh, they got the wings and everything. And the Genesis is the kind of, like, bad portion. Angeal's kind of, like, the good portion, but then he turns Monster out, too, and Zack has to defeat him. That's how he gets the Buster Sword. He kind of mentors the other ones after that, kind of like an Angeel guy, and becomes a mentor, role model figure for Cloud, and eventually bequeaths the Buster Sword to Cloud after he pretty much gets killed, kind of echoing... Now, this game did come out. This is the remastered version of the 2007 thing. It echoes what happened in, like, Halo Reach. Halo Reach came out in 2010, but Halo Reach was executed a lot better with the whole Lone Wolf scenario as Zack pretty much gets taken down by the Shinra forces. We also get kind of a love triangle thing with him and Cisne and Aerith, because she's a Turk, which is kind of the secret kind of service of Shinra. Let's see, am I getting most of it? Yeah, we do stuff for helping out Aerith and seeing that whole kind of relationship blossom with her and Zack. I don't have that big of a connection of, like, Cloud going for Aerith. Kind of like a Spider-Man kind of thing, where you kind of ship Spidey with, like, MJ versus anybody else. I'm alright with, like, Cloud being with Tifa, with how the Final Fantasy VII went, but it kind of depends, and it also kind of depends upon who's making the game, because we get that whole kind of retconning and changing up of what's kind of going on based on what's happening and who's pretty much in control at the point. That's why you always have to watch out for that kind of stuff. What we get with, like, the Final Fantasy VII remakes and rebirths and all that kind of stuff. I have not played those yet, but I do plan on playing them at some point. Though I do like Final Fantasy VII, the original one. I've got that one. I've got that. Played it on Xbox. I've got it on PC to play through again at a certain kind of point because of rebuilding my library and everything. Like, the funny thing is, the story is pretty much the weakest aspect of this, though there's lots of potential. The thing is, I won't say it's completely and utterly garbage. I like Zack and how he's done and presented, how he starts kind of... He isn't the smartest kind of cookie, but he understands certain kind of things, tries to help people and be the best person that he can, helping out Cloud when he's, like, poisoned and dragging him throughout pretty much the back half of the fucking game. How they're trying to put Sephiroth, Angel, and Genesis together, even though we didn't really see them as, like, a trio. I think Nomura pretty much does that a lot. We've seen that with Kingdom Hearts. We see that in here as it's being trying to explore, but there's not really a lot done to explore it except surface level stuff. It's really kind of odd. It's like, alright, I understand this is a portable game and you want to do it in certain kind of chunks, and that game design does affect how the story is told and presented, because sometimes if you're doing a portable game, you're probably going to want to do something that doesn't take an inordinate amount of time. Maybe if you're going for something in-depth wise, 30 minutes as a safe buffer zone to an hour at the longest. If you're trying to kind of, like, delve in for, like, playing in one show or like in one go or whatnot. So I understand the limitations there, but there's other things that have been done vastly better. Pokemon series, for one. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, the Metroid series, any Switch portable game. Yeah. So, I understand and take that into effect, but the thing is, I wanted to see more and understand more of their kind of relationship, but we don't really get that because Zach's usually not around for those things. It's like they're that threesome, and then we have to have these weird kind of like memory things that kind of pop up. It's like, all right, okay. And then it also links up with Dirge of Cerberus, a game that I know about but have not played, with Genesis being taken away by these two other soldier operatives. And somehow, Zach is like chasing this dude that looks like Angio, as we find out is the Director Lazard dude, who was trying to go up against Shinra and everything. And I wanted them to explain more about that and people going up against Shinra and trying to fuck them over more. And somehow he got turned into an Angio copy. None of that's really explained that much. We got this Hollander dude trying to stop this degeneration that's going on because of implanting people with like the Genova cells and trying to do all these kind of experiments and everything, which is just done again surface level. They don't really dive as deeply into it as they could and should. And then trying to go after Cloud because evidently he's got these S cells that are perfect enough for them to stop the degradation. Like, all right, how much do you need? I mean, you don't need to kill him. I mean, otherwise you don't fucking have it. And bringing up the whole ancient kind of stuff. I think we saw what Genova was supposed to look like as Genesis was pretty much getting killed or dying or whatnot, before then getting also carted off and all that. This was a weird one. Like, I had enjoyment out of it. I had fun actually playing the game. The story didn't evolve into complete nonsense, but it wasn't pretty. Like, there was bright enough moments. I liked seeing Zach interact with Aerith and doing the whole stuff of filling Midgar with flowers and everything. Seeing how they kind of worked out. Seeing the whole kind of Turk interaction with the soldiers and all that. Again, very surface level. We don't really see if there's any kind of political friction between the kind of operatives that are the Turks versus those that are soldiers. Because Zach's on pretty good terms with Sang and Cisne as what's going on, especially Cisne loving him. Now, would I recommend this? Only in certain kind of frames of mind, if that makes sense. If you are an ardent Final Fantasy fan and want this to make sense and don't want it to fuck over Final Fantasy VII, I would not recommend it. Because you'd probably find a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of stupid shit, and you'd be like, fuck this game. Hey, I consider that an alright reaction on that, okay? I'm not poo-pooing that. That's totally valid. I just don't have that complete connection with Final Fantasy VII, even though I do prefer Final Fantasy VII over this. Which is strange. I think that the action combat is great, but as a complete package, Final Fantasy VII with the turn-based and everything, and the characters, and what they do with the world of Final Fantasy VII is vastly better than the original. No bar there. If you're looking for an action hack and slash game that you can pick up and go and do certain kind of stuff, definitely do that. Don't expect really good story or in-depth characters and world building. There's world building, but not good world building. Like there is a case of attempting to do world building and lore building, and it just not working out and spiraling into some weird fucked up homunculus of like, oh god, it's centipeding itself and it's shitting everywhere and I don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. Let's just ignore that and go away. Yeah, this one, I liked that I played this because of how strange it is to talk about. I wouldn't say that, I mean, it worked. I didn't have any crashes or weird fuckery that went on playing it on the Steam version. So, yeah. But it's this thing of where, like, I had fun with the gameplay, but the story's like, whoa. And then there's ones that I'm like, I can have fun with the story, but since the gameplay is complete crap, and I'm like bashing my ass against it, it's not fucking worth it. That's not this. So, it's weird. Since I haven't played the remakes, I don't know if you're in that cohort of being into and really liking the remakes, if this would work out for you to not have the kind of inconsistency story-wise and everything kind of going on. So that you'd have to look into yourself to see what kind of works out in it. So yes, this is a very strange game to review, where it's like, in certain instances I would tell you to not touch this with a 10-foot pole. In other instances I'd be like, go ahead, you'll have some fun with it as long as you don't really take it seriously. Like certain kind of movies or whatnot, if you don't really think about it, if you go in just for the gameplay, you're probably going to be alright and be like, this story's stupid, but fuck the story, you know what I mean? Whereas if you're wanting the story in the world to make sense, this is going to blow your fucking noggin off and you'll be like, fuck! So don't go for that aggravation. Man, this is a weird one. But it helps me to stretch and understand and to try and explain this as much as possible, even though that makes probably is like nonsense to people or whatnot. So, those are my opinions on the game. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.